Cool, recording.
Great.
Great. So, Mom, yeah, you were just asking me what
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, what's just so Hannah and I can get on the same page as you. What do you do?
Sure. So, as I was saying, I market all of our companies' online magazine and supplements via social media, via email marketing, various other methods. We use SEO, also to obviously tag and market everything. And yeah, so it's all the supplements for Business Day, Financial Mail, Sunday Times. Yeah, that's about it.
That's really
okay,
cool.
Great. So now, Hannah, just sort of tell Stace what you've been doing as my PA.
Okay.
You know, in terms of exposure, you know, and marketing and all of that.
Okay, perfect. So what we've been trying to do is first and foremost build up a social media presence, because I feel like digital campaigns are so important these days, and organic reach I feel is the best way to build up marketing in the sense of like word of mouth marketing. They always say that the people will usually be the ones that buy from you the most. So by building up a platform with organic followers and people who are interested already in real estate will not only help your mom obviously build as an agent, and as her name goes out there, it will also hopefully curate more listings and more people purchasing through her social media. So what I've been trying to do is create this whole new branding image to kind of get your mom up to date with what kind of trends people are looking for when they're following an agent. So for example, what's really circulating in the property industry right now are videos and reels, because obviously what happened during lockdown is so many people couldn't actually do physical viewings with people anymore, so they had to come up with creative ways on how to actually have a viewing without actually seeing the people in real life. So that's when people started doing walkthrough videos, using Matterport a lot more to have physical walkthroughs where you're not actually there, but it gives you kind of the essence of a property to also not waste time of the clients and also the agents, because often what happens is photos are very deceiving and can appear a lot more, either that client's taste or a lot more tidy and neat, or well finished and well put together than the property actually is, whereas videos are a lot more difficult to manipulate in that sense. So clients like to receive, or even potential home buyers or people who are just interested in real estate, they like to see those videos just to kind of get a better sense of what the properties actually look like. So what I've tried to do is incorporate as many reels as possible. Obviously, it's a little bit more challenging because your mom is far away for now. Maybe from July that could be different. But so basically I just want really high quality footage of walkthroughs that make it exciting, with songs that are trending at the moment, get people to see it on their search pages and those kind of things, just building up the organic reach. I know that your mom didn't want to explore it as of yet until she has a little bit more listings. But there's a person I know in Joburg who does digital campaigning, in the sense of he links your social medias and what you're putting out there onto Facebook platforms, and he uses it, the monetary paid advertisements, but the way that their company kind of hones in on picking up the right people and looking at the right demographics. They have their own configuration for how they pinpoint those people to be targeted. And I know it's something Patty wants to look into when we have enough listings. So in the interim, I have been trying to just build up a page that when we eventually are on those platforms, it looks like a professional page that has a lot more content that is relatable to what the market wants to see. And then I also have been going through the Prop 24s and those kind of things, just to try and look for some listings. There's a new potential one that we're going to be speaking to tomorrow. It sounds really hopeful. And then obviously with your MailChimp and those kind of things, I try to create a little bit of content and campaigns for the audience. We have only done one so far, and that was information that your mom gave about the rates assessment being done this year. So I'm just kind of looking for what kind of content she'll want to do, and then I just create these posters, easy one-liners, two-liners, just something to grab the reader's attention, because more often than not, people don't actually read those emails, and it's more spam than anything. But as long as that your mom's name and her email address is popping up in their emails all the time, like yes, there'll be the
That's
odd
the
few,
thing.
there'll be the
Yeah.
odd few that will unsubscribe or find it irritating, but there will be that one that says, you know what, okay, I need to buy a property. Who's that woman that's always in my email? And then they'll go, okay, Patty, and then they'll use her.
Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah, that's
So-
what
so-
we want.
Yeah.
Stace and I were doing the paid ads, and the thing is, though, through Facebook, what I've come to realize, unlike what you were saying, your contact offers, is that we weren't hitting the right targets, were we, Stace? It was just a random ad going out there, and well, I don't know. I'm just guessing, judging by the sort of poor response. Stace, what do you think? Those paid ads we did on Facebook, really, it didn't concentrate on the demographics, did it?
So when you set up Facebook Manager and you set up the ads in there, it actually does, you can say what group you want to target. And I did make it more specific to buyers, sellers, people renting. So there is that option, which I did choose. But I suppose you're just in competition with a lot of other agencies that are also running ads, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I definitely did aim the ads at a specific target group. So
yeah.
Can I give my 2 cents of knowledge, sorry, on this, because it's something I
Go
dealt
for
with
it.
a lot of Chaz, because we mainly were a digital focused company, because I mean we were running through 2020 and a little bit of 2021, so it really was mainly digital focused. So what we learned from it is, especially if you have someone who is doing the campaigns for you, they have like, I wouldn't say special software, but they have their own software that links to the Facebook ads. So obviously they fine tune the searches of, who you want to target more in depth on their end. And the accuracy of those searches is not dependent upon what filters you apply. For example, it won't be, okay, I only want 40 to 60-year-olds within the high LSM and, looking in these areas. It's all good and well that you're putting those filters in place. But what really pushes and drives that to actually work is your money expenditure on those ads. For example, if you're only spending 100 Rand a day, that's considered quite a low pay each day. So they'll run on 100 Rand, but because it's a cheaper paid advertisement, they're not going as in depth and actually focusing on those targeted areas. They kind of will run an ad and like 30% of the people you want to see it are actually seeing it. Whereas if you're spending 1,500 Rand a day, which we noticed would get like 15 to 20 new leads a day off of those adverts, and it was hitting the high LSM people. So I think you don't have to spend 1,000 Rand a day. There could be that happy medium where you're maybe getting 3 hits a day or 3 people coming in a day instead of 15. But yeah, the monetary side of it is actually where the separation from the cut leads and the decent leads actually come through, to excuse my French. But yeah, so that's kind of what we noticed. It's actually the more you spend, the better the leads are going to be. But I guess it's like that with anything. I mean, look at PropCon, look at anything. For the actual information that you want, you're going to have to pay, because in a sense it is still digital marketing and it's still taking up a platform and using other people's contacts for your own benefit. So I do think it is really worth it. But you have to go in knowing that if you want it to actually work, rather go in with a higher budget rather than going in and wasting 300 Rand, on people that aren't actually even going to buy.
Yeah, sounds right. And
I 100% agree with Hannah on that. What's funny though is I think it depends on the brand, because like, for example, Sunday Times spends thousands and thousands and thousands on Facebook marketing. Business Media Mags, which is my website, we spend 2,000 on Facebook marketing a month. And then for SA Mining, the other magazine that I manage alongside that website, they spend 1,500. And see, it's different to a state agency, because, or houses and stuff, because I think for us, we're not looking for leads or anything. We are looking for exposure. And I suppose it works the same way. The more money you spend, the more exposure you're going to get. But I think a lot of people know our brands. So that helps a lot. Not that I'm saying people obviously, they know Pam Goldie and they know Chaz Everett as well. So I agree with you on how much money you spend. Definitely that makes a massive impact. But it's on the flip side of that, we actually don't spend that much, and we have we have a reach of about 125,000 people a month, and we're spending 2,000 Rand a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's difficult.
It's very interesting. And I've had these debates with people like Byron and that before. And I said, when you actually looked at the statistics, it's like any person's social media page, for example. If you actually go and look at how many people view your page versus how many are actually active on your page, it's actually quite scary. So you'll find that people are still seeing this advert, even at 100 Rand a day or 2,000 Rand a month. That exposure is still there. But I think the reason it's more rare or unlikely of a person to actually click on it and become a legitimate lead is because of the nature of business we're in. Unfortunately, unless a person is actively looking for a property, when a property pops up, even when they are, in the right LSM, if the property pops up and they're not looking for property at that time, they're going to ignore it and they're not going to click on it. And, if they do, they'll end up just being nosy and a lead won't actually materialize from it. But the nature of our business tends to actually pull out, and I used to joke and say, a feeling of almost like guilt or like dread, because either the person is like realizing, shit, I'm about to spend a lot of money, or B, it's like, I don't even want to know how much this is, it's probably too expensive, or the other flip side of it is, oh my goodness, I'm so curious as to what this house looks like, let me waste their time and money and click on it and do whatever. So like, whereas if you're reading information, or you like in a magazine or a newspaper, and information is free and given to you and it's just wonderful and you feel great afterwards, like people are going to click on it more. Whereas with property, it's a niche market, and like I said, unless these people are actively looking for properties, the chances of them actually clicking on the advert, whether or not they've seen it, is like a different story.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true.
I think the interest from the public will come when it's a really nice house, or a home that has beautiful artwork, or a home that has great furnishings, because that's the kind of wannabe I want that. I would think that would be the kind of thing that would maybe attract a person to want to click on the ad. And I think we're getting out there quite well, but I feel what we're doing as a team is a bit disjointed. Like, if I can just quote Steve Johnston, he tends to have regular, like every day or every week or whatever it is, and he will put it into calendar and it'll just go out. I think it's called scheduled whatever's, and it'll just go out on those days, and it's regular and it's consistent. Whereas mine tends to be a bit disjointed, like I make a movie here and we do a reel there, and we send, the odd MailChimp. I think somehow it needs to, and I've had this conversation with Stace quite a few times, it needs to be more structured, I think. So what would you suggest, Stace?
Yeah, so everyone, if you think about it, like Hannah said, it depends if they're looking for a house or they're in the market, and if they're not, they're generally not going to click on those ads. So I think the happy medium to attract anyone, whether they're trying to rent, sell, buy, would be to attract them to anything to do with homes. So instead of selling EXP as the brand in your videos, rather use content that's useful and attractive to people who like homes, or they like interior design. Or, everyone loves luxury and beautiful things. So if you're able to create videos where you get, like I mentioned to you before, Mom, your neighbor is an interior designer. If you could interview her, and I know she doesn't want you to film her home and put that on the internet because she doesn't want everyone to think it's for sale. But if you could do that, I'm pretty sure, that's the route you would need to take, because her home is absolutely beautiful. It's luxurious. She has incredible tips. She's super experienced with interior design. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to attract people to watch an EXP video, and whether they're in the market or not. And I feel that's where we have to shift our focus. And it's easier.
I agree.
It really is easier.
Yeah, sorry. I know we keep jumping in front of each other. And I think, to be honest, this is like a whole new ball game for me, because when I worked with Chaz and I worked with Urban Trend, we were literally only dealing in the luxury space. So we wouldn't list homes, and I know Joburg's completely different, so price-wise it doesn't sound that great, but we'd literally only list homes between 5 to 50 million. So we were sitting with homes that were all like basically mansions, and they were finished beautifully. When we had our mandates, we'd tell the owner that they must leave the property as is. There mustn't be any furniture removed. It mustn't be an empty shell, because we can't market it, you know, as an empty shell. And we used to have these walkthroughs where we'd walk through these mansions and would make it all about that. And, you know, most of the time our buyers would actually end up coming through our social media, because they see, you know, the brand all the time. They're like, wow, this brand is all about luxury. And people don't just buy into a home, they're buying into the lifestyle. So it made life a lot easier to market those kind of homes, because people could imagine themselves living there. They thought, you know, I'm not actually just buying a home, I'm buying something that, and it sounds terrible, but people all want to look rich. They're buying into something that would give them that, you know, that feeling. And I think obviously Cape Town is a whole new market for me, because homes that are 5 million rand to me don't look 5 million rand. And, you know, so like it's like a dynamic shift in my brain. But those are the kind of homes that we actually need to target a little bit more, in the homes where, you know, people, you know, start to associate EXP or Paddy, for example, with excellence. And unfortunately, they used to even pass up on listings. So they used to say, no, sorry, we won't list your home. And it was especially because they just didn't have the look that they wanted. So if your home wasn't a mansion and it wasn't, you know, luxurious in any way, they wouldn't list you. And if they did list you, it wouldn't pitch up on their social media, and it wouldn't, you know, have that extra oomph. So they became very selective of who they were, you know, allowing onto their page, which I think is a really clever way of you know, of marketing, because you are not only creating a brand for yourself, but also for your customers. You're creating that brand for themselves, like for them. They're going to want to, you know, be part of that and be part of that lifestyle. So it's much easier to push off a life of luxury, getting out of a, you know, Ferrari, stepping into a mansion. Like people are going to want to follow that, you know, whether they're buying homes or not. Like you said, it will pique their interest.
Yeah, but keeping it more to the lesser attractive homes, because that's the majority of the listings that we generally get are the lesser homes. And obviously that's our bread and butter, because they're easier to sell and they move quicker. So we need to get exposure for them as well. And some homes just don't film well, you know, they don't have the luxury furnishings. And yeah, sometimes, you know, you move stuff around and it's quite hard to get some decent footage.
Yeah.
So,
I think my biggest thing, I think we need to, and I think I have mentioned this before, we need to actually have days. So for example, I don't know if you saw the reel I posted today. I had to turn it sideways, because I know you're used to filming things in landscape, but when it comes to Instagram, all reels actually need to be filmed in portrait. So it's a little bit more difficult to like change those videos, and it edits the quality and those kind of things. So I think personally what I would prefer is also, so we don't feel stuck. And, you know, I'm the type of person, if I don't have something great, I'd rather not use anything at all. That's just my mindset. Like rather than just posting for the sake of posting, or creating a campaign for the sake of creating a campaign, what I would prefer is, let's say on, you know, one of our days, so either Monday or Wednesday, if I come through every week, it's fine, and we make that day solely a day to create content, in the sense of going to your different listings, having those videos or whatever, like it at least gives me enough stuff to work with for that week, and to be able to come up with campaigns and those kind of things. Because I think at this stage, you know, the way you film versus the way our film is different. How I would create a reel versus, and it's not to say that yours is wrong, it's just, you know, the way you envision filming something versus what actually ends up coming out will be two different things, because how you've seen it versus how I receive and see it is different. So just so that there's that synchronizing between the two of us, so it's not so disjointed, I think it will work a little bit better if we do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
Yeah,
Stacey?
one of the ideas that I had was actually, I wanted to say to you both that, you know, we should rather do videos of homes than pictures, but I see Hannah beat me to it, because about 2 hours ago I saw it on Instagram and it looks really, really nice, and I like the music. So yeah, I think just keep doing that. But just going one step back with regards to like filming luxury homes. So I mean, it would be great to have them as listings, but I think where I was coming from was more to use those to as content. So it doesn't have to be homes that you're going to sell necessarily, but to just use it as content to then advertise the brand at the end. And that's why I said maybe Neighbor as an example. Some other ideas was, yeah, I spoke to our mom about this and I said, Suzelle DIY. I mean, obviously we're not going to try copy her or be humorous like her. But what I meant by that was it's actually, people really like do-it-yourself, DIY, quick fixes at home.
Sorry, my washing machine in the background is very loud. It just got all of a sudden super loud, and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, please let this not be interrupting anyone. But continue. DIY.
So I know this can be overdone, but if you could, you know, if we could just, I don't know, come up with a different angle, I think people find that very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Another idea I had was even art. I mean, if you went to, and Cape Townians are very artsy, if you could even film, I don't know if you're allowed to, actually, I don't know what the legalities are with that, but if you could go to an art gallery and interview someone in an art gallery, or, you know, film some of the art, and then again, put EXP at the end. My execution is not really great, but I'm just throwing a few ideas and then we can, you know, get to the execution later. Gardening tips, you know, going to, what was the botanical gardens in Cape Town, just having beautiful setting.
Setting. No, that's interesting.
Just a different take rather than just being at home or just on the beach, or you know what I mean, run of the mill kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then what else? And then I don't know if there's a budget for competitions. You know, you could, that's often very useful when it comes to marketing, and we do that, is we'll have wine hampers or olive oil hampers or body shop hampers, and we'll give that away. And yeah, it'll be simple things like our page, comment, share this post.
I think that's a good one, Hannah. Yeah, Stacey, you've mentioned this before. It sounds quite, you know, people want to, what's in it for me? And yeah.
So I've actually done competitions before for really big brands. I was partnered with Gary Ram. I've been partnered with a few brands when I was still in the fitness industry. So I was a sponsored athlete. So we used to do giveaways. The biggest problem with giveaways though, especially if it's the follow and then like and share this post for an entry, after the competition is done and you know, the prize has been given away, a lot of the people unfollow. So we saw only about 20% of the actual follows that were initially, you know, there. When they've noticed they haven't won, they ended up unfollowing. So yes, you still have like 80% of those followers, but you just need to, if you're only getting 10 extra people and 2 of them leave and you're only left with like 8, like you just need to kind of work out if, you know, your page has enough reach already to target. For example, I'm not sure how many followers you're sitting on now, but for a page that's got 30,000 and then they have 30,000 people enter with their friends liking and adding, you know, up, you'll get a lot more followers. But if you only have 400 followers and 5 participate, you know what I'm trying to say? You have to kind of, you know, gauge whether or not it will be worth the financial expenditure of buying something to give away if you're only going to end up with 3 extra followers, for example. I mean, so you kind of, I do agree with you on different content. I like the idea of, you know, diversifying the page a little bit. So yes, at the end of the day, we are all about real estate, but real estate can extend to home advice and all that other stuff to build you know, the organic followers and people who want to follow. So yes, I obviously I do want your mom's page to come across more professional. Patty, don't be offended at all. But we wanted to come across more professional. We wanted to only have high res images. Like I actually wanted to ask, just to know how you'd feel about it. But me going through and ciphering through, you know, older posts that were either duplicated or low res, low quality. Unfortunately, those kind of things, you know, although they eventually disappear on the timeline, when people open a page, they're going to scroll through and like look at what your page is like. So I just wanted to like go through it all, make sure everything still looks, you know, neat and tip-top shape. I try and make sure that my color scheming is, you know, bright, vibrant. Try and stick to color coordination to just make it really appealing to the eye. And like I said, if we did have those content creation days, like I do with Mary, I'm not so sure if you've been keeping an eye on her Instagram page, but it's been a lot easier because she lives just around the corner. So a lot of the content I even take for myself on my own social media, I can use as hers because we live in the same areas. So it's like very easy to use that content. Whereas with Somerset West, if you go down to your cafe or whatever, it's not necessarily something I have here. But those kind of posts in between, walking into a coffee shop, showing your followers, you know, what your area is all about, maybe like you say, doing something about gardening or tips on those kind of things, like making it more a home page rather than just home selling page. It could grow more organic followers and reach, which eventually would be able to you know, transfer into people who will enter a giveaway and all those other kind of things. I just think giveaways right now wouldn't make a lot of sense, just because we just need a little bit more followers on board, unless we do a collaboration and I can do it on my side and I do the giveaway, and say to my followers, if you follow our property page, blah blah blah, I'll be giving away this, and this. So like, unless we try and do that in the sense of putting my page up as a collaboration and then tapping into 19,000 people rather than just 400, I think it'll help a little bit more. So it's really just up to what you guys want to do. But like I said, those days that we do the content creation, I think it would be really nice to, like you say, film different things, get the area, ask art people about their stuff. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, we can rather, in my mind, take photos of properties we think are beautiful in our areas rather than taking images off, you know, online platforms. Because lots of them have legalities, and unless you're actually claiming that that is not your home, not your listing, and it's an image taken off of, and you have to provide the, you know, do proper referencing, we could eventually.
I would have no problem with the art aspect of it, because having done the, you know, the Night Shelters Art and Wine auction for a number of years, I've got quite a few contacts who will let us into their home to film their art. So that would be quite good. The thing is, does one have diversity as in, okay, we're going to be the home people and we're going to have people coming to see anything to do with the home? It could be a listing, it could be gardening, it could be art, whatever. But surely people won't just follow a random page that has to do with homes. Do we have to be consistent in the gardening and consistent with the art? Because I'm thinking there will be some people who will want to follow only for gardening, others who will only follow for art, or doesn't it work that way?
I call that page attraction. So I've found that in a week, I'll, let's say, gain 100 new followers. Sometimes I'll lose 80 in that week. And how I've realized it usually goes with what I'm posting. So before, when I was still in the fitness industry, anytime I would post anything that wasn't to do with fitness, I would lose a lot more followers. Because obviously the people who started following me were there for my fitness. So whenever I posted about my family or my dog, they'd be like,
not interested.
I wasn't really here for this. I wanted boobies and a nice body. Unfortunately, that's how it was. And my page through a massive loss. I was over 20,000 followers when I left the fitness industry. And then when I stopped and only went through to more personal blogging and speaking about my life and those kind of things, I ended up dropping to like 15,000. And, you know, there were still those few that ended up sticking around. So let's say the 15,000, now I'm back at 19.3. So my point is, your followers will go up and down all the time, and depending on what content you're posting, as long as you're kind of habitual with at least sticking to the theme, you will still keep a majority of those followers. So that's not to say every third post has to be about gardening, but if you have 2 gardening posts a month, your audience will still be interested. And as long as it's kind of, within the same sphere, like I get diversifying, but we also don't want to move away from the fact that we're not just trying to get you exposure, we are actually trying to get you legitimate clients and listings. So yes, exposure will be great in the terms of like building a social media following and getting your name out there, but we still need to remind your followers and let them know that ultimately you're an estate agent. So yes, you have a little bit of gardening here and you speak about homes, but we don't want to diversify so much that people just think you're like a house and home, magazine in human form. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to take away from the fact that you are an estate agent. So I wouldn't post gardening once a week. I would do it maybe like once a month and say this is my tip if you've just bought a home, and like still focus it on purchasing homes. So be like, if you've just bought a home and you've found that the backyard is just a grassy patch, here's a little video speaking about what you can do to transform your miniature garden into, do you know what I'm trying to say? So you still center it around real estate, but you have a little added extra. So for example, just bought a home, so many walls, don't know what to do with them, here's this artist and they are known in Somerset where, you know what I'm trying to say, like those kind of things. Still center it. I personally like, because then you're still diversifying the content you're creating, but you're still staying true to your brand, which I think is very important, because brand confusion is a real thing. And people often will try and do every trick under the sun to try and gain organic followers. But the main thing that gains followers is authenticity, unfortunately. And if you believe in your brand, you have a solid brand, people can see that. Whereas if you are constantly changing your brand and adapting to what your followers want, you'll never grow like an organic following.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, Stace, just to diversify a bit towards agent attraction. Now, Steve Johnson talks about constantly sending agents up-to-date, bulletins, let's say, on what's happening in EXP, so that you're constantly feeding them and not just, let's have coffee. What did you think of the video? What did you think of the link? Just to keep feeding them the progress that's being made in EXP. I don't find that there is that much out there for us to use. It does come through periodically. We've now got 72,000 agents, and then there'll be something else, but it wouldn't really, I don't feel that I get enough content from EXP to be able to send out a regular communication to prospective agents. So Stace, what do you think might attract them? Because, it's fine. We can go on about the benefits of EXP. We can go on about, what we call the 5-year exit plan and passive income, but there must be something within the brand, which Hannah would know better than you, Stace, because she's worked with EXP. There must be something in this brand that makes people want to know more. And I want to know what that one thing is.
Well, I'm wondering if, I know the world has only just started to open up in like the last 6 months, but I'm wondering if something like that conference that EXP had at the end of the year in Las Vegas. I'm wondering if like snippets from conferences, international conferences, wouldn't be very attractive to other agents. I'm just thinking.
It could be. There's a little bit of resistance, I feel, against the American brand. When I had my own clothing business, it was an American brand, and I felt resistance then. I don't know what it is, whether South Africans are very reserved compared to Americans, and they don't like the brashness of America, of Americans. Now, I feel that we need to catch up a little and change our thinking, and we don't actually care about the American rah, rah, rah. But I do think it is quite exciting for agents to be able to see. I think that's a great suggestion. Let them see something of what could be awaiting them at the end of the year, which is the big convention. I also feel that I think I think many South Africans think they're never going to be that kind of agent, like, Brent Gove and, Ricky Caruth and all those great names out there. They just don't believe that they're going to ever be that, and don't tell us any more about it, because it's just negative. And it's getting them to see, of course, they can be that agent. Of course, they can have that many people on their team. And it's, there are some people out there that are in South Africa, agents that will just not embrace it. And then there's others that will. But I think there are also people out there that would like to, but there's not enough that encourages them to want to aspire to the brand. And I think we have to try and get that something out there, but I like the convention idea. It's good.
I think part of the problem is EXP is still quite alien to, state agency in this country. So you need to, I think firstly, you need to see the differences, the pros of EXP compared to other companies like Pam Golding or whoever. And that's what you should probably be putting out there. So people can say, but this is not just another estate agency. This is what makes it stand out. This is what makes it different. Another thing, because it's not so well known, you should maybe consider doing like virtual open days where you show people around, because you've got that whole virtual platform with virtual meetings and conferences, and maybe do something.
World. Yeah.
I don't know. It's that people, instead of just hearing other people talking about that, can actually see for themselves how it works, how innovative it is. Maybe something like that. I'm thinking.
I have made a video of that. It's called "I'm Not an Alien," because people can't relate.
I remember that.
People, obviously there are exceptions, but some can't relate to the avatar world. They don't actually understand that it's a very interactive world. It's a very real world. When you go into the world, you are with real people. It's like you really are in an office. And they just can't see it. They think it's some gimmicky, thing. And but yeah, it's I'm not sure what I think. One is going to just have to keep exploring ideas and see what works, I guess.
But Hannah's right. I mean, organic, followers is your ultimate aim. But you're never going to get it right, full on. You hope to get as many organic followers as you can, but it takes time, it takes money, and it's just good content, and like Hannah also said, so being true to yourself, brand. And I think bringing in the glitz and the glam, bringing in beautiful scenery, gardens, DIY tips, all of that is great to attract. But at the end of your videos, always make sure you go back to basics and say it's Patty EXP, click on the link below for my latest listings or whatever. So that people are always still aware, okay, you are an estate agent and you are marketing properties. And
good.
Yeah.
Good.
and I believe in quality versus quantity. So rather upload fewer videos, even if it's only 2 a month, just make sure they're like really, really nice. And Hannah, I loved your first video. I only saw snippets of it, but I really liked that and enjoyed it. And it was very professional.
About the model explained.
Yeah, and I think you guys are off to a good start. So and I'll also, try to come up with some content ideas. But Hannah, I don't know if you've looked at it, but SA Homeowner, Hannah, I don't know if you know the magazine or the website.
Yeah, I do.
So sometimes, Shireen, who manages it, she's quite innovative, and that could be a nice, you can maybe go on every now and then from time to time and just see if there's any ideas. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So yeah,
but would we be allowed to?
Market, so when it comes to that.
But would we be allowed to use something from SA Homeowners?
No, I'm not saying use their content.
Just to get ideas. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
They have some really, really nice ideas, and Shireen's very innovative and knows a lot about homes and luxury and
that type of thing.
I think it's on the page. Sorry.
Carry on, Hannah.
I was going to say also for agent attractions, you know what? The more you as a person and a brand gets out there, because obviously they'll associate you with EXP, the more you know, your page is centered around the kind of stuff agents want for themselves, the more they'll also come to you and ask, can I join? So, you know, you kind of need to build yourself as a brand before you even start inviting other people, because, you know that question where you said what makes us so different from other agencies, that's actually not a problem, but the fact that you don't even know why EXP should appeal to someone is already like a not an issue, but like if you don't even really like understand in the sense of like how your brand fits with EXP and all that, like until you figured out you and your brand in EXP, you'll never be able to explain it to someone else like properly and make them, you know, love and appreciate that brand as much, if that makes sense. Like if you don't fully, not that I'm saying you don't believe in it, I know 100% you believe in EXP, but until you fully, you know, have your, you know, image in EXP done and you explain, well, look what it's done to me, look how my success has grown, you know, people seeing other people's success is a better, it's like that whole let's see what you do rather than hear what you say, if that makes sense. So the more your brand, your imaging and everything just comes in line with EXP and your success in your own right, success speaks louder than words. So you won't even need that that like whole, oh, join EXP because blah blah blah, because first of all, most of them don't know who the heck EXP is. In fact, every person I've spoken to, unless they were an advocate or, you know, some would like normal just estate agents, they don't know who EXP is. So to them, it's like any old agency approaching them, only they are snobbish about it because they're like, well, I'm at Pam Golding. Like, what do you think you're doing? You know what I'm trying to say? They don't quite realize what the brand is about. Whereas if you're a really successful estate agent and people know you, maybe not EXP, but they know you, and they're like, well, if she's associated with EXP, it must be an incredible brand. It's kind of like your own individual branding, and you know who you are in EXP will market itself. People don't look at the big estate agents and go, wow, let me find an example. What are those people that do selling sunsets? It's the Ottoman brothers, or something brothers, the Oppenheim group. They don't think of the Oppenheim group, even though that's literally what the whole series is centered around. They think of the girls. And they think of those beautiful women who are selling properties. They probably know all of their names and don't even know who the Oppenheim brothers are. And why? It's because their branding was so successful. And yes, they went for the blonde, dumb, you know, ditzy image. You know, that's what they wanted. Big boobs, plastic spastics, but it worked. And, you know, that kind of branding, I'm not saying that's you, but we need to find your branding as Paddy and focus. I know you want the focus to be on EXP, but rather step away from EXP and think of your branding as an individual on your own page. Yes, it's going to be always about EXP because EXP is where you're working through. But as long as Paddy has a branding and image, you know, of your own, you won't need to come up with reasons why they should join EXP as an EXP brand. Be like, well, look at what I've done, and let me know if
it's good advice. I'm pretty established out there in terms of videos, but I think the other thing is the professionalism of the videos. And I mean, how do you get that good quality content?
I've got an
iPhone, I've got a fancy camera, and I don't know that it's that great.
Which iPhone do you have?
No, I've got the 8. I've got an old one, but I use I've got a latest Canon camera, and it's okay. You know, I probably don't know how to use it properly.
I wouldn't even go as far as using a professional camera. Yes, you can if you want to do like more stills and images of the home. But when it comes to like walkthroughs in my videos, we always would just use our iPhone. So I've got the 12 Pro, so obviously the camera is amazing. And then we'd have a thing called a gimbal. I don't know if you know what a gimbal is. So a gimbal attached to your phone,
you don't get the
get the shaking up and down, but it's really not necessary. Walking slow enough. I've got editing apps that literally can speed up a video, slow it down, you know,
I've got an app.
Edit the way the image comes across on the videos and all those kind of things. So I think as long as we're using also the same camera every time, it's like really important. So for example, that's what I'm saying to you, like the way you do videos will be different to how I do videos. So I think if we have a content day where we decide, okay, Patty, you're doing all content, or Hannah, you're doing all content, we make it on this day,
Yeah.
get everything done. We make sure it's the same camera the whole time.
Yeah.
It's also quality, unless it's like a really shocking video on Instagram, either way, the image quality will lower anyway, it pixelates slightly anyway. So whether you've got the most incredible camera or not, the quality will still get it like changed a little bit on Instagram. So obviously the better quality the video originally was, the better it will look on Instagram. But I wouldn't say like if there's slight fuzziness or something, you know, it's not really that bad, but we should try and stick to the same camera each time and make sure it's the same style of filming each time, because then also that in itself will become recognizable with people on search feeds, because if they start seeing the same kind of thing all the time, they'll be like, oh, but isn't that woman who does it? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, for example, I follow this makeup guy, and he doesn't do videos showing step by step what the makeup is. He'll show like the person before, and then they'll like drop the mic, or they'll do something, and all of a sudden the person's fully made up. I love those kind of videos, and eventually I started following him, and every time I see a video on my page, without even realizing who I'm scrolling and looking at, I'll know it's him, because that's just how he does it.
He's got that brand that just tells you who he is. Okay, girls. Well, anybody want to say anything else, Des?
No, not really. I'm just gonna, every time I get an idea, then I'll jot it down, and then I'll send it to you guys, and you can use it, don't you?
Great. So I think to wrap up, we need to have the drip campaign a little bit more dripping, and to maybe, as you say, Hannah, put one day aside where we just do content for the whole month. That would be fantastic, and start doing some research on getting into homes, which I can do, and where we're going to get some gardening tips and anything to do with the home. We can also do, and the interior design is a great idea, Stace. I'm going to work on my neighbor with that. We don't have to show every part of her home. We can just show her kitchen. You know what I mean? As a backdrop to, my phone's ringing, as a backdrop to whatever reel or movie that we're making.
Yeah, and I think with all your content, just schedule it. Schedule, because it saves you so much time to then do. That's
what Steve does. Yeah. He has a regular, like, I think it's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. I get Spotlight series, and it's every, 9 o'clock every Wednesday. And I like the consistency which we need to get to as well. But great, thanks for your time, Hannah and Stace. And Hannah and I are driving now. We have to have a half an hour's drive to get to Brackenfold.
Okay.
Okay. When you're up in Joburg sometime, meet Hannah for coffee, right?
I'd love to meet you in person, Hannah.
Me too. I'll probably be there the weekend after the 28th, so I'm not sure what weekend that is, because my mom's birthday is the 28th, so that following weekend I'll probably just come up and be there for her birthday. So I'll see you for a coffee or something.
That'd be great.
Perfect. We'll do that.
Awesome.
Okay, girls. Cheers. Bye. Cheers. See you later, Hannah.
Bye.